Hi, I'm Richie Mackay.
And I'm Davey Bolt, and you are listening to the Wrong Bias Podcast.
And welcome to our 2023 Boxing Day show. In Bolty's Grotto we have Katherine Rednall, Lorraine Khuler and our very own little elf, Jason Parkinson. Over a pint of Diamond White and a big Toblerone, we tackle an assortment of topics. As always, thanks to Lean to Succeed and our new streaming sponsor, Renton Wealth Management, for their support. Thanks for all your support over the past 12 months, and on behalf of the Wrong Bias Podcast, have a happy new year. Right, folks, ho ho ho, we hope you've had a lovely Christmas dinner and welcome to our Boxing Day special. It's our show 53. I've no doubt Mr. Bolt's been stuffing a turkey there for Christmas.
Just a salad I had, mate.
Just a salad, since you're on your health regime. Ho ho ho. It's Christmas time.
That health regime disappeared about 2 weeks ago, mate. I mentioned to you yesterday, I went to a tea party for Katie's mother's birthday for a taste of cake, and that was it.
That was it. It made flag to the bull. Women and children were getting chucked away from that buffet table.
I can understand how people get addicted, mate, I'll tell you, because as soon as I had a bite of that cake, I wanted more.
Right, mate. As it's obviously our last one of 2023, just a quick look back over what we've done over the last 12 months. We're still doing canny, just under 6,000 listens over the year, and we've only done 6 shows, so other shows are still picking them up. We're about 29,500 listens since we've started. Good. The streaming's took off really well. It's just getting bigger and bigger, the streaming. It's gone even better than what probably we both thought, mate, I think, really, hasn't it?
No, it's brilliant, mate. Saw some comments when you put a post on, obviously wishing everybody a Merry Christmas, and nice. It's nice to see some of the comments through, and testimony to yourself, mate. I know I've responded to my comment, but you've done some miles this year, mate, and I know people do appreciate it.
Yeah, that's the main thing. It's been a laugh. I mean, even East Kilbride, when we've done the junior thing, even with the network gone down, previously I would have just said, right, that's it, I've had enough. I'll just start again. Just start again and kick it on. I wouldn't have watched it. I don't know how many people. We still had 300 people watching. I'm going, I wasn't starting to watch it. I would have went out. I would have had enough.
I know, and it's frustrating. It's again, potentially, if you'd known there was possibly an issue with the router coming into the club previous, then you might have either been able to do something about it. Before you comment, somebody saying it's your name up on YouTube, you should be the one making sure that's right, and it's like, don't understand. It's like, again, we are going up there to help other people out, and all we ask for is a good solid connection. That's all we need. Yeah, you're completely right, mate. You're exactly right what you said. All clubs, it's an expenditure, whatever, but it's either a case of you don't get it in, and that potentially rules you out of doing this type of thing, or you put it in and open your club up to the potential of having some streaming in your club or an event. Because I would imagine going forward, because we want this to get out to a bigger audience, whoever that might be, World Bowls, whoever it is, when they're looking at clubs in the future as to who's going to host, I would say that's potentially going to be a key piece of criteria for them to actually say, yep, we'll come to your club and do it. So small cost of obviously putting that in the big scheme of things, with the potential of revenue coming into the club if you could host a big event. It's chalk and cheese, isn't it?
I think it was just I just felt like it was an opportunity for us in the UK to show what we can do to stream an event, as in non-big BBC type of thing. Mm-hmm. And it just didn't go to plan, but still got plenty of comments. I'm off the Malaysia list, mind you.
Are you?
Oh, they're not happy with us on Malaysia. I'm keeping my eye open on fellas in the street now.
What did you do?
I think it's the pronunciation of the lad's name. It just went no. It was like treacle off my tongue. It was that long. Oh dear me!
You're usually so good at that type of thing as well.
It was all good crack. Anyway, there was Les Carter. He was the Hong Kong coach from Australia, and I got got him on with commentary, and he was great. He was really good. He was actually from County Durham as well, believe it or not. And I asked him about what his ideal of a coach was, and his ideal of coach was, well, you're basically there just to reassure them, drove them along, give them a bit of confidence, and what have you. Would you agree with that, mate?
Yeah, well, I think have we discussed it before? I think I brought it up saying that I think a personal coach is underutilized in this sport. I know the money's not there in finance and things like that, but I don't think you need to be sitting at the end of the rink and telling people what hand you need to play or whatever. It might be just a case of halfway through a game, things aren't going to plan. Sometimes you can see something from the back of the green that the player's not actually picking up, and might be just a case of they're struggling on a shorter end. Why don't you get the mat up, shorten the length or whatever? So no, that's good. I didn't realise he was from County Durham. It's nice to hear.
Yeah, I mean the Macau kid, the coach from Macau, he had his little book out and writing. I don't know whether he was marking the shots every ball that was going up the green. The Malaysia lad, he was obviously streaming it, which was said before, they're very thorough. I'm probably like you. I think you go on and keep the chins up when things are going wrong, and if you tell them to play a shot and they're not happy with playing a shot, it's counterproductive. But yeah.
Well, looking at some of the streaming we did up at West Lothian and the comments we had a chat about how many balls were just getting battered up the green on the under-25 day, where there's just runner after runner after runner. You've got somebody with a bit of experience standing behind the green and going, what are you trying to hit that for? You're trying to hit a single ball target. Give yourself a chance, build the head, and you'll find that you'll probably start to dominate the game. So, yeah, it's simple things like that sometimes, but underutilised, definitely in the British Isles, I feel. Well, it's our Christmas show, and we've got a couple of guests on. In my opinion, was one of the best podcasts that we did, or one of my favourites anyway. And then we've also got Mr. Parkinson for the 97th time. Hello, Jason. How are you?
Very well, thank you very much.
Good. Out in sunny Spain, I believe.
Yeah, not so sunny. It's about 18 degrees at night, and it's about 6 at the moment. Got my jumper on, as you can see. Look, full of cold, and I'm in Spain.
Must be a nightmare. Is it 18 degrees where you are, Katherine?
No, it's currently 11 in my conservatory, so we're doing well. I'm too tight to have the heating on.
And Lorraine's always cold-hearted anyway, so it doesn't matter what temperature it is, she's always cold.
Very true.
Welcome back to the show, both of you. It's great to have you back on again.
Thank you very much. It's all right to be here with you again.
Yeah, thanks, Bowie. It's a pleasure to see you as always.
It's been, how long, Richie, is it since Khuler for Cats? 3 years, is it? Or
yeah, it'll be about 3 years, I think, since we've just recovered. Just finished the therapy.
3 whole years. There's quite a bit happened since then. So I think we'll first of all touch on that, and then we'll bring Jason in shortly to have a little bit of a chat about the World Championships as well. So I think we'll go straight in, and we'll start with you, Miss Khuler. Obviously, the last time you were on the podcast, you were a bit of a nobody, and obviously things have changed since then.
A massive nobody now.
You got on your Christmas carol and camel and headed out into Australia. In the past, anybody who's come onto the podcast have actually gone on to do great things. So I don't want to take any credit for this. Probably 3 years ago, we actually give you the inspiration to go out and actually do something in bowls for once.
I was thinking of you the whole time. I was.
Totally. Like us being the three wise men on the screen here. It's obviously Jason brought the Frankenstein and Richie brought the Ollie Murs and I brought the gold. That's exactly what bit of a nativity touch there. Did you see that little link there? So you went out to Australia. And congratulations, first of all. Obviously, you're only joking. I know you won a couple of two-ball competitions or something before that, so you're not exactly a nobody, but fantastic out there. Lorraine did a great job. Give us a little bit of feedback. What was it like? Feelings?
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, obviously, you just go there and you just want to play well, don't you? The thoughts of winning kind of a little bit of in the distance to start with, especially when you start practicing and your first bowls there, not even on the rink, and then you sort of you work your way through the week, and as it starts to get a little bit more natural. I mean, it is so unfamiliar, it is so different to anything that we experience here, and you can't really explain it to people, to be honest. I was fortunate enough to be out there with some really good people, good experience, Redders and Amy and that, and people that have been out there before. So the practice was needed. The week was definitely needed. to get us going. And then once we settled into the fours, really, I felt like we just kind of kept getting stronger and stronger. We got on well as a unit, and you're playing Australia in a world final on their greens. It's kind of dream come true, isn't it, really? And then to win was just obviously the very, very nice cherry on the cake.
I mean, sorry to touch on this because obviously it must have been really, really hard at the time, but to suffer the disappointment that you did of missing out on the Commonwealth Games prior to then obviously making that team and winning a gold medal, was it nice bit of satisfaction?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anyone can ever appreciate, or unless they've been in that position themselves, just how much things like that hit you. And even though you may sort of look like you just get on with things, I think even subconsciously it does kind of do something to your confidence. And it's hard to bounce back from. And so then I think when you are given that next opportunity, of course you want to do everything you can to prove your worth. And was that in my mind a little bit? Probably wanted to just prove that I'm capable on the stage, really, given that opportunity. And hopefully we did that, and hopefully we got what we wanted for ourselves and for England, so that was good.
Did it add any extra pressure for you personally, going out there and obviously feeling as if you had to prove your point?
I think it's a funny one, actually, because I think once you're there and you're in it, you can't I know Katherine will probably agree with me, you kind of sort of feel like you're in a bit of a bubble, and reality sort of just seems to disappear, and you're just so focused on what you're doing. You have to concentrate so hard on those greens and take each game as you can. I think that all sort of disappears once you're there a little bit. But yes, obviously I wanted to prove myself in the best way possible on my own personal performance, and hopefully that happened. But I think the pressure's there leading up to it, but once you're in it, that goes, and you just kind of get into the rhythm of playing the game, and you can't really think about anything else, I think, once you're there.
Yeah, definitely. And at the end of the day, it's not a criticism. I'll never criticise selectors. It's a hard job. So you can only pick 5 places, and obviously you've been knocking on the door since you appeared on the podcast, obviously, because nobody knew who you were before that. So as soon as you came on, selectors started to take a little bit of note and wondered why you'd managed to appear on the podcast. But I think it's great. I think, for me personally, watching what you did out there, I think it is a nice feeling sometimes where it's like, this is what you missed out on in some respects. And, you're not going to say it to anybody, and you're not going to have a go at selectors, but it's nice to go out there and prove your point, I think. But no, fantastic. Massive congratulations again. Only winding you up, it's as I tend to do, but I think it was fully justified, fully deserved, and I thought you did really, really well.
Quick question though. I do believe you're now team manager indoors. So all the girls out for a pint and a pie?
I mean, I might have to refine my management skills a bit for the under 25s. Just so that it's all as professional as possible. But I'm really looking forward to it, actually. I can't wait. I can't wait to be out there with them. The trial was an unbelievable success. The standard was phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal from that. It's scary how much talent there is in the team. And I'm looking forward to being out in Belfast with them. I'll do my best to look after them all. Of course, if any of them did need some help on how to drink a pint and eat a pie, I'm sure I'd be the perfect person for the job. And they've got Sandy there, so when they need someone who's not as heartless as me, Bowie.
My initial thought was it must have been like three Mars bar rappers or something like that with vouchers on to get that role, was it?
Desperate times.
God, Jesus.
Desperate times.
Directors on the phone. We've got a statement from the chimpanzee who missed out on the role, who you were up against, and he said, "Ooh, I was gutted I didn't get it."
I'm so pleased you invited me on it.
Have you had much experience in that type of role before, or has it opened your eyes as to how tricky it can be?
I mean, obviously, I think I've been involved in just sort of club selection and county selection over the years, but yeah, it's really difficult, and I think the responsibility weighs on you a lot when you're sitting there discussing, players and their future. And I think especially at under 25 level, that a decision could sort of influence whether someone decides to stay in the game or not, potentially, if that's the sort of character they are, obviously. I mean, like I say, the standard of the trial was exceptionally high, which made our selection really difficult, to be honest. And I won't lie about that. It was tough, and it took us a little while to get to where we are. But we had a process. We stuck to that process as much as possible, and we're really happy with the team. Really happy with the team that we've selected and have every faith in them. But obviously, I always say this, you know, what would be the point of trials if no good bowlers were missing out? What would be the point? And you know, it's the same for any team. Like, you can't have a team and then look at it and like there not be good bowlers not in it. Otherwise, you wouldn't be having trials, would you? There's always going to be good bowlers not getting in the team, and then that's like a little bit like what we said earlier. You know, if you have been on the wrong side of selection, or you feel you've been on the wrong side of selection, you then have to take that opportunity to do everything you can so that next time the selectors are in a room with your name on the bit of paper, that they can't think of a reason to leave you out. You know, they can't leave you out of their team. And that's my view on it, really. But yeah, it has been tough. It's not easy doing this stuff, but really enjoyable, and just hope that the team get everything out of it. We tried something different at the trial. We had Tim and Anne come from Loughborough Uni and do a couple of 30-minute sessions with the players on psychology and sort of dietary stuff. As you can see, I probably don't even know the right word, but then you wouldn't expect me to, would you?
You didn't sit in that class then, Lorraine, no? I mean, it's not what I've been doing in the past either, to be fair. As soon as people start mentioning dietary stuff to me, it's like, it's okay. I'll just be fat and ball. It's fine.
I mean, my ears pricked up when they started talking about you know, it is okay to have a takeaway curry. Then I was back in the room. I think that was
well, we were talking before you got on. My dietary. This is how good I am, right? So I lost 1.8 stone over the space of about 6 weeks, and I went to Kaylee's mother's like a tea party thing for her birthday. Got the taste of cake, and for 3 weeks, all I've done is eaten cake. Literally, honestly, I'm gonna have to, like, you know, when Alcoholics Anonymous, like, sit in front of a bottle and just stare at it and make sure you don't drink it. I'm gonna have to sit in front of a gateau and just like try and avoid eating it. It's really getting serious.
I'm changing your Potter's shirt.
This is the whole reason I didn't give my size for Potters. They asked us what shirt I wanted. Well, I was like, well, I could get down to an XL or a large by the time I get there. Now it's possibly creeping back up to the 2 or 3 XL. I'm the only man who must have about 16 different choices of shirt when he gets down there. Never mind. But anyway, as long as you're comfortable with ruining young people's lives, Lorraine, that's all that matters. As long as you sleep well at night, it's a job. Somebody's got to do it.
It's all right. It won't affect me, will it?
Oh, you're heartless, all right. I've known you long enough. Awful person.
There'll be some rockets up after, I can tell you that.
They're all looking forward to it, I think. Well, that's what they're telling me.
Miss Rednall, I'll move across to yourself. Bittersweet for you in Australia, but you were absolutely bossing all of your games up to the semi-final, weren't you?
Yeah, it was a bit of a roller coaster, to be honest. It's such a hard field for the Worlds, and I didn't quite anticipate how lonely it'd feel, really, because we'd had a week practicing all together, and then we played a test, and then because of the 5 venues, you just sort of disappear, and it was, oh well, you're at, you know, one of the venues, and the fours was at a different one, and then I was quite lucky because I had the men's triples with me at a couple of the venues. But it's just the group games are massive, and as soon as you've lost one in the group game, you start to think that actually your chances are over. I was going really well, and I played Gloria from Hong Kong and got on a rink where her being left-handed, same bowls, but just her being left-handed, she found the middle, and I was constantly a foot away from the middle. And I played her in the test match before and won fairly convincingly, which kind of puts you on edge a little bit, because I thought, well, am I going to replicate that tomorrow? Which felt really bizarre playing her. And then she came out and absolutely nailed the middle, and I was really, really scratchy. And after that, I thought, is that my chance gone? But luckily managed to get out the group because Emma from Scotland did me a bit of a favour. But the semi was an absolute killer. I've never come off after a game of bowls and thought, I'm absolutely heartbroken. Like, you win some, you lose some. But I held game, I had a draw for game and I'd drawn it. Kelly had chucked a cloth down on the bank and was coming to shake my hands, and then my bowl fell out against bias. And suddenly we're going 20-all into a last end decider. And I genuinely felt like that was probably the one game that slipped away. I completely outdrew her all game, and I think she would say that herself, but her runners kept her in it. And yeah, I have no idea how I lost that. But to come away with a medal was the goal anyway. just a bit of a heartbreaker when that happens.
It just sums up the sport. We've said it loads of times before. One of the only sports you've got no control over your own destiny. It can be heartbreaking because you can absolutely play out your skin and get nothing for it.
I think, to be honest, that was the best game I'd played throughout the whole thing. Things didn't go right, and I came off and I genuinely wanted to burst into tears. Just absolutely gutted, thinking you'd probably hopefully going into the silver or gold match medal because you've drawn for game and she's about to shake your hands and your bowl falls out. So,
but all the same, congratulations, obviously, for yourself as well. Great achievement over there. As Lorraine touched on there, it's hard to comprehend how hard it is to actually go out there and medal. It's to walk away with a medal is an achievement. It's just really, really tough, especially when you're playing your Australias and your New Zealands who are used to that setup over there, and potentially Malaysia are there quite regular on a regular basis. And we see quite a lot. The likes of Ireland and Wales seem to be going across there a lot more and playing test matches to prepare themselves. Just got to look at Gary Kelly. Gary Kelly's over there. He's permanent out there now, still competing for Ireland, but is absolutely flying because he's just used to that whole Australian setup now and how the Greens play and how to play them.
You know that, Bolt, yourself, having been out there, but you start to doubt your shot choice. You start to think, am I doing the right thing? Am I playing the right hand? The wind's changed. It is just... the concentration is just a completely different kettle of fish. You just have to think about every end. And me and Lorraine said this so many times, but there's so many variables that just change every single end that you're playing. And you can just never quite settle.
I think that is the thing, isn't it? Like, even when you're going well in a game, it's not like here where you think, I found this and I'm all right for like the game. Like Katherine says, it can change within the game and more than once. So you can't even sort of get that confidence going, which you're looking for, aren't you? You're looking to, you play a few good bowls and your confidence is up, but just as quickly it changes and all of a sudden a couple of bowls that you thought were perfect aren't, then you're back to square one a bit. It is so difficult over there.
That, like, we were 10 shots up. I still have nightmares about it.
We're still not over the triples, Bolty, before you ask.
No, we haven't. Yeah,
we're definitely not over it.
I have nightmares about it at night, and like we were 10 shots up halfway through the game, absolutely flying, and then all of a sudden they completely changed and played attack. We maybe went to defense. I don't know. I genuinely still can't sum it up, even this far after, and ended up losing by 1.
Just working down my notes here, and the next point was ask the girls how they felt after the triples.
I literally cried at Lorraine.
Yeah, it was hard to take, that was, because especially like Katherine said, like when you feel like you've probably been the better team for the majority of the game. But 2 bowl triples, again, another learning curve, isn't it? Like, it's so hard. 2 bowl triples, there's nowhere to hide.
I was just going to say that it's the wind. The wind for me is the killer over there. You can get to grips with the greens, all right, but when you chuck the wind into the mix, and it's just like, I walked away one night from playing a test match against Australia, and I walked away and I just sat in a dark room for about 3 hours because I played a trial end, give a ball 6 foot of green, and it absolutely teamed back of the jack. I was like, well, it's easy this. Sent me next one 6 foot wide, and it just never moved. So I'm just looking at this ball sticking 6 foot wide on the green because the wind had dropped and it just hadn't moved, and yet that just happened all game. It's absolutely demoralising at times.
I still actually get the shakes when trying to put a bat bowl in now. It's like, it's actually a traumatic experience. Like one end, I mean, like I put my bowl with the right weight for a bat bowl, couple of bowls tight down the line, crash into the jack, 5 down. And you just think like that was the right line 4 ends ago, and I've just completely and utterly cocked it all up.
One game we played, I think it was we played to South Africa in the triples, and the way that you were playing against the wind, it was also swirling to the point where you're pushing it because you're playing against the wind, but it's also started to come across the head, so your bowls are just whipping at 100 miles an hour, like across the green. And I just, in the end, Katherine said to me, I think we need to play the swinger. And I think I was standing there thinking, I'm not even sure what the swinger is anymore. I don't even know which one the swinger is.
Shut your eyes, point your feet and hurl it out.
Absolutely.
It was like that.
Congratulations all the same. Great stuff, great achievement. And on a different note, Miss Rednall, obviously since you were on the podcast, I'm not sure whether it's mine or Richie's, but Harry came along, and obviously being the nativity and all that, I just obviously imagine all of a sudden Jason comes in here in a second actually, because with it being the nativity, I just imagine you were on the podcast, You're sitting in a little village of Bethlehem near Norfolk. The stars shining down on you. You're sitting outside of the Premier Inn. There's a little donkey there, and that's where Jason comes in. Little donkey sitting there, just proving that Jason will go anywhere where there's a commentary job, sitting there waiting in little sunny Norfolk, and then all of a sudden you're pregnant. I mean,
yeah, it's a miracle.
me and Richie's going to have to do a paternity test, I reckon.
Good job he looks like me then, isn't it?
It's a bit harsh.
Jimmy, get her off, son. Get her off. Get her off. Just being facetious. Get her off.
Mr. Parkinson,
Evening.
sitting there in the dark. Let's
It's getting very dark here in Spain. No, I'm just listening to the girls. I think it was a fabulous achievement. And I understand completely about the greens because I used to play at Stanley Park in Blackpool, so I totally get that. No, cracking achievement. I watched that game where your ball fell over and I was absolutely gutted for you. Yeah, what a horrible thing to happen at such a crucial time.
From your own point of view, mate, going from some tricky greens to more tricky greens, you've just been over in sunny Cyprus for the senior fours. Just before we move on, obviously, from a personal level, congratulations to the 4 English gentlemen who are from just round the corner from both of us. That was Richie, you'll have to say, because Alex Bryden, Brett Arkley, Alan Theobald, and
Tony Humphries.
Tony Humphries, exactly what I was just about.
Didn't get a penny off Boards England. I'm not being political, but didn't get a penny. Got a shirt, but didn't get a penny. $2,000 it cost them. Not being political.
Yeah, it was. No, I don't know. I have to be careful what I say, but yeah, it was a little bit disappointing. I think the main thing was they were wearing an England shirt that was 2 seasons out of date. That I found was a little bit disappointing. I get the financial side, but yeah, I don't know. But England weren't the only ones. Scotland, they had to buy their shirts, I think because it was an inaugural one. Perhaps they weren't as supportive as what they should be. I don't know. I think the event as a whole, I thought it was fantastic, to be honest. Big games. I mean, there's like 15 games in the men's round robin because it was one big group. That's a lot of bowls over 9 days and a day indoors because it monsooned one day. We had a massive electrical storm above us and it was all rained off. Greens were tricky. I just call it a normal artificial surface. They did spend a lot of money on the greens last year and the year before. The good thing is with it, though, yes, they're not perfect, but it's great to see people actually investing in the sport. And that's what they're doing. They're lifting the surface, whatever they've done to it, but they're trying to adapt it to allow for better games to be played on there. And you've got to give them more credit for that when people are shutting down or walking away from the sport. A massive hotel, which will still remain a massive hotel, whether the greens were there or not, are still putting money in, and I thought that's great. Nice to see a lot of countries. Norfolk Island, 27 hours on a three planes, I think it took them to get there. And they were loving it, absolutely loving it.
It's a beautiful setting as well, Jason. I mean, it's not that long ago since the Premier League was there, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we had an event there. What did we? The World Bowls Tour had an event there 10
years
ago.
Was it the Premier League? Premier League?
Like 10 years. I mean, weather was it was nice for the first week, and then really, really changed for the second week. We got a lot of rain. The hotel staff, they're not greenkeepers; they are literally hotel staff. They were, sorting the chairs and. One day I came down to commentate thinking, is it going to happen? And the whole green had looked like a bomb had gone off. There were chairs and ditches all over the place. But they had that facility downstairs, luckily, to get it played. But unfortunately, there was no internet down there at all. I tried to do it on my phone, but just kept cutting off. So, I mean, for Bowl Cyprus, 170 members to put on something like that, when other countries in the Northern Hemisphere are not even bothering, I think is really, really good.
No, it was good. And am I right in thinking it was delayed a couple of years due to COVID?
Yeah, there's a lot of work went in, and COVID, and then other things had to change. But I think there's a wait for the buy-in, really, from the national governing bodies. I mean, some of them just refused point blankly. I was surprised Australia wasn't there, surprised Malaysia wasn't there. But every single one of the teams had to pay to be there. So, hopefully the funding should change, and hopefully the national governing bodies get on board and support the players. When you think of all the people that were there, 150 players at a minimum of £2,000 each. I know the England ladies upgraded to the all-inclusive package, which is a bit more. But if you look at £2,000, £2,500 each for 150 players, a lot of money.
It certainly is. And I would hate to think, obviously, I know everything can't be paid for, but it would be awful if, obviously, people qualify for that event and don't go because of the financial side, which I think will be a shame.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, I know they've got to be careful, haven't they? I mean, when you look at Bowls Australia, what was it, 1.6 million in debt? And if that's Bowls Australia, then we're all knackered, aren't we?
Yeah.
We really are.
Yeah, definitely. Well, you enjoyed it all the same?
Yeah, it was great. Great to see new people. I saw some old people as well from when I was out in China and Hong Kong playing in the Tiger Bowls. Lots of people were in that, which was great to catch up with the Zimbabwe team again. So that was quite nice. I didn't really get to see much. I was in this little commentary box, i.e. room 3105 and 3008 in the other hotel. Very high up. I got vertigo at one point. The poor cameraman was hanging over the edge. I thought if he falls over here now, we're done for. But yeah, it was great experience.
Richie was talking about the World Under-25s, where some of the countries have got coaches sitting on the back of the greens and not necessarily, directing or telling them what to do, but just being somebody to have a soundboard off as much as anything. Do you think it's something that we miss out on in this country or in the British Isles, so to speak?
I think from experience, having played singles in the Commonwealths and singles now in the Worlds, I think it's a really difficult thing to get right. And I think if you're used to it, you look at the combination of Ellen Ryan and Karen Murphy, Kaz knows exactly when she's needed. She knows what Ellen's going to ask before Ellen even asks it. Sometimes Ellen doesn't need to ask it, but she does for the reassurance. And it's a really good combination that works. But when you're not used to it, I find it incredibly strange. And I think having Sandy this year at the Worlds was the first time I felt comfortable with that whole discussion and shot choice kind of management situation. It's a really bizarre one, though, if you're not used to it. Suddenly having somebody stood on the bank telling you to drink your water. And
I think it's difficult, isn't it? I mean, I think the relationship between the player and the manager has to be there before. You can't just turn up on day one and have that kind of, or hope for that to be a success. I think there needs to be a lot of work beforehand off the green to make that a comfortable space. I think where it is beneficial is like when you're playing in conditions in Australia, and you could probably do with someone off the bank telling you, maybe because you're in it and you're maybe not seeing it, might be useful to have someone on the bank that could help you technically, i.e. could you shorten your stride a little bit, i.e. you're definitely coming up too quick, because it doesn't matter how good you are, you can get into those habits, especially when you're somewhere where you've had to change your delivery and you're maybe not as fluent as you could be. Someone on the bank could just be spotting something that you're not. I mean, we watched a game in Australia, and I think, Sam was itching to say something from the bank. He was itching to say what could have helped, and that's where that would have been a prime example where having someone like that on the bank who reads a green to the way Sam does, and I know there's not hundreds of those around, but if you could have someone like Sam on the back of your green telling you what the green's doing, which he can pretty much every inch of it, and I know that's a unique ability, like quite a unique ability he's got there, but that would be hugely beneficial, I think.
No, I think it's definitely needed, even if it's just for that lift, when you're struggling or there's that little bit of a dip, you definitely need something. I mean, I think it was Lorraine said it at the start of the show about, and I said it quite a lot in just, I know it's not the same, but like when you're watching like national finals, about, I see so many teams that start off playing a certain way and they get 8 or 9 behind, and then they just carry on playing the way they're playing, 8 or 9 behind, and all of a sudden it's 15. And I would say, at what point do you make the decision? The style of play isn't working against the team we're playing. So this is how you've got to change it. And that was a great point she made there, because I say it all the time and people must say, what's he going on about all the time about this? But it's key. How long do you play your normal game before I think, okay, something's got to change here. They're playing well on every single length. Let's be either more aggressive or less aggressive. I think it was fantastic. But who makes that decision? If you're so focused, it's going to take that outsider, i.e. coach, team manager, to actually say, right, okay, change your game. It's not working. Change your shots.
Yeah, I agree. And I said this earlier on. I said, obviously, finance and money in the sport, etc., plays a big part of that. But, the amount of tennis balls that Andy Murray hits day after day after day, but yet he's still got a coach sitting up in the box. I know he's just changed. He's just Ivan Lendl. He's no longer with him. But it's like, I just think, Jason, you touched on it there. For me, international, yeah, you're going to have somebody there who's managing the team out there. But people who go down to national finals, I just sometimes think it would be invaluable. It's invaluable to have somebody who's potentially won national titles in the past or knows what it's all about, especially for some of the younger bowlers. having somebody sitting on that back there, and like you touched on, Lorraine, you can't sometimes see what you're doing on the green itself. It takes a second pair of eyes off the back of the green just to maybe say the opposition's really struggling on a shorter length. Why are you not changing that? Or your delivery's not quite there. Any idea, that shorter stride or whatever it might be. I just question why there's a lot of pedigree in this country of guys who maybe don't make national finals anymore because of age or whatever it is, but I think they could bring a lot to some of the players down at national finals, just giving them that little bit of advice off the sidelines, and we just don't see it at all. And I just find it strange.
I think especially in team events as well, like you look at the Johns and the Walker, and we played a Johns game against Leicester this outdoor season just gone, and we were winning on one rink. And, I'd lost concentration. I think we were about 12 shots up, but every other rink was losing. And I sort of spent a couple of minutes looking across the green thinking, well, they're getting absolutely murdered on a long jack over there. Oh, they've won the end and they've still played the same length. They've just been getting absolutely hammered on. And you're right, like just having somebody on the back of that green, like in an international series, that can just go and pick out those things that maybe aren't obvious in the moment. And we all sometimes look either too in-depthly at it and think, why is this going wrong? And it's such the simple things that it could be, but you overlook that because you're in the moment.
I think adrenaline plays a big part in that as well, because loads and loads of times during games, people get caught up in the moment, there's a bit of pressure there, etc., and you get that jack for the first time when you've been maybe getting battered for 4 or 5 ends, and the lead potentially just wants to get that jack up the green and do something different. And I've seen loads and loads of times where you'll say, right, we need to stretch this. They've been playing a short length, get a full length on, and they want to get rid of the jack that quickly. The people haven't even made it up the top of the green, and invariably what they're doing is they're looking at the back of people's feet. So they're delivering the jack and looking at the back of people's feet because they're still walking up the green. And how many times do you see they drop the jack short of where they need to be, because they just haven't stood back, taken the 5 extra seconds and went, right, there's no rush. Just wait until everybody gets up there, focus on what you're doing. And Richie knows what I'm like with the jack. It's like, for me, it's one of the biggest parts of the game. And if you get that jack right on a consistent basis and you're absolutely pezzling somebody, then it's like that wins you the game all day long in most cases. And yeah, it's just little simple things like that. And it's just something Richie brought up, and I just think it's something missing definitely in our sport. I think there's a lot could be brought from having individuals on different rinks, just giving that little bit of advice. But
well, I'm going to stand behind you a rink, Davey, next time, and I'm going to say, our son, there's a big slice of banoffee pie with cream waiting for you if you draw this shot, son. Come on. I'll throw in some chocolate eclairs as well, son.
Back toucher.
Son, get front and back toucher. He's aware. Come on.
I'll let go of my ball, and a yard out of my hand, I'll be eating that banoffee pie before back toucher.
If you throw a portion of chips in, I'll cheer the jack for 6. Is the sport going to be absolutely stuffed if the Commonwealth Games goes down the pan? 2026 is not going to happen by the looks of it, because the Gold Coast have dropped out. The centenary one in 2030 is down the Swanee because Hamilton's dropped out in good old Canada. There's only 2 big things left in the bowls, and that's the World Bowls Tour indoors and the Commonwealth Games, because we're not in the Olympics. Do you think if the Commonwealth Games doesn't happen, we're knackered? The funding that you get from Sports England's going to stop. You're not going to have to go down all this elite path that you'll keep getting rammed down with certain NGBs.
It's a massive blow to the sport on a commercial and promotional point of view. But the reason I'm shaking my head is the money from Sport England purely comes in to support the elite bowlers going to the Commonwealth Games. It's not there to support the sport. It's not given to the governing bodies to say, there you go, do what you want to do with that money. It's literally each penny has got to be accounted for towards providing your elite bowlers that opportunity to go to the Commonwealth Games. And yeah, it'll be a massive blow without a shadow of a doubt, but it ain't going to be a detriment to the sport. I firmly believe that there's a lot of things happening in the sport now, especially with the amount of streaming, the amount of world competitions that are going about, etc., that
corporate wise, I think the outdoor bowls will be stuff, probably bowls in general, corporately getting the big money in, for that big prize of going to somewhere like that. As a sport, I don't think it will. However, it will mean the national governing body staff will have to work a lot harder. We'll have to work an awful lot harder to bring the money in to create something special.
Yeah, and like I say, that was certainly my opinion on the sport as a whole. I don't think it will be massively detrimental to the sport, because it's a nice thing to basically say, I want to play the sport because I want to compete at the Commonwealth Games. Been lucky enough to get that, but ultimately, is that going to be the deciding factor of coming into the sport when there's 5 places available to possibly go to the Commonwealth Games? I don't necessarily think that is the case, and I don't think it's going to be detrimental to the sport. Massive blow for us with regards to obviously the promotion, because for me, the last Commonwealth Games at Leamington was one of the best advertisements of the sport we've had in a long time, and that was my personal opinion. Some of those games that were on there, and the comments that were coming back from the studio after those games, I thought was brilliant. But as we've seen, what is it, 3.5 billion it costs to actually run the event? Where we are in the world at the moment as far as cost and everything's concerned, and cost of living, etc., I can sort of comprehend why Australia turned around, or was it Victoria?
Yeah, Victoria.
The head of Victoria turned around and said, "I'm sorry, but we've got people living on the streets. I'm not prepared to put £3.5 billion into a sporting competition." And rightly or wrongly, whether people like it or whether they don't, that's just unfortunately the way of the world at the moment. But no, it's pluses and minuses. Lorraine, I'll quickly come to yourself. Obviously, I don't know what your thoughts are.
Yeah, I mean, I think I largely agree with you. Whether it impacts the sport overall, knackers the sport overall, probably not. But like you say, I think it just removes a very, very big opportunity to promote it. And I think that will need to change. The strategy from the governing bodies on promoting our sport may need to change slightly to make up for that. And they're going to have to explore other avenues to get the exposure that they need to promote. The sport does need promoting, and we do need to grow this. The sport needs to grow for it not to be knackered. But was the Commonwealth Games going to save it? Probably not, to be honest. I think there's probably other things that need to be. It's a blow. It's a massive blow, of course. But I think we need to explore other avenues and ways of promoting the sport in different ways.
Why do people still turn up and play numerous games, indoors or outdoors, thousands of miles, and you win a badge and very little in it? Very, very little. I mean, I don't play in as many now, but I think one year I won the Balkan, lost in the fours final and another final. I think I come away with about 40 quid. And my hotel bill was 2,000 for the 10 days. Passion, they still want to maybe win that first national title. I don't know. I just think the national governing bodies are going to have to start working harder.
I think, and I might be controversial when I'm saying this, and it might raise a few eyebrows, but I think the grassroots of our sport is so important at the moment. And I think what is causing a detriment is the proposals and potentially what is happening with national finals going ahead outdoors, and all of the proposals that are coming up from Bowls England, from the scheduling, all of the controversy that's going ahead with that at the moment. I think that is something that needs to be addressed and sorted and settled as a priority. I spoke to a few people last week, and we played Egham and Yetton all over the place in Essex, and the general consensus is that people are thinking about not even entering competitions because of the proposals from Bowls England, and I think that is really worrying. That gave me a bit of a stomach churn when they were saying that.
I think I fully agree with you, Katherine. I think that, I've got size 13 feet. Now, to me, the way they're trying to do the national championships at the minute is if I'm trying to get into a size 10 with all the competitions, they're trying to squeeze that much in. There were still clashes at Worthing, as in the men's side. I don't know what it was like with the women's at Leamington before the men invaded. There were still clashes, but there's that many competitions that at the end of the day, it's down to the counties. They've got the decision whether they're going to vote it through. The working party was 9 bowlers, I'm led to believe. 9 people who played the game. Whether Bowls England have influenced it, I don't know. I've sent an email out. Davey mightn't have seen it, but I've asked the CEO if he'd be interested to come on the podcast. So if he comes on, we'll ask the question. But they sent something out about the possible clashes. And did you see the one for the mixed fours? It was that long. I
screenshotted it. There was 10 potential clashes.
Yeah, it was. You look and you're going, you've got a clash that many. It's pointless entering. I mean, me bugbears, the family pairs, which will affect yourself and your dad. I mean, why stop an England international to play with a parent? It's got to be the highlight of your thing to play with, if your parent plays to win a title. I mean, I won a scabby local pairs with me dad, but I was absolutely delighted. You know what I mean? It made. I still remember it now. So why penalise somebody for being successful?
That's the one for me as well. I don't understand, and that was a conversation that came up the other day as well. You know, you're ruling international players out for what reason? There's no reason why they're doing that. There's no context behind it. But you're also penalising kids. You know, every day we're talking about equality for children at work and making sure that every child has the same available situations and things to be part of. And actually, if you look at kids like Sam and Harriet's kids, for example, they've got nobody to play family pairs with because both parents are internationals. So you're actually taking that away from the children. And Harry's lucky because he could play with his dad. But you're taking that opportunity away from me and away from dad and us playing with each other. Amy and Andy Walters, two boys, they can't enter the competition. Their auntie Sue Davies, she's been an international. So they've got nobody to enter the competition with. And then on the same sort of argument, would you want to enter the family pairs knowing that half of the country are exempt from entering it? Would it feel like you were winning a national title if you won it and half of the country couldn't play in it? That's the other argument, isn't it?
End of the day, it'll come down to the counties to vote on it. And if you sort of county players and your clubs are not voicing their opinion to the counties, that there are counties out there who just voted through.
I mean, I was talking to somebody when I was in Australia, and they were saying, like for example, for bowls to get into the Olympics, like we'd need to change the format. We'd need to do bowls as it is, as we know it. Probably wouldn't be the thing to be successful. It would have to be the same skills that you need to play bowls and playing bowls, but not in a game format necessarily. You know, whether we agree with that or not, that they seem to think that would be the only way for us to promote the sport bigger and to get more commercial opportunities was to have different formats to what we're used to. And maybe that is the case. Maybe, but I think where we need to go in bowls is we probably need to stop this whole having that or that, like cricket. You know, you've got the 2020 cricket, but you still have Test cricket. It's not we're getting rid of all Test cricket and replacing it with 2020. Each discipline, format, whatever, has its purpose and worth, and people can enjoy more than one format of bowls. But you don't have to keep saying to have that, we're going to replace it with that. That isn't the way forward, in my personal view. I think everything has its place, and it's just about balancing that. And whether it's about having things at different times of the year, at different venues to enable that, fine. You know, I don't think anyone's ever going to moan about having a busy calendar, for sure, to play lots of bowls. So that's my view.
So would you, if you had the option, would you play in a 6-ring Commonwealth International Series, or would you play in a top 10 style of event?
Personally, I don't dislike the top 10 event. But if it was me, I would have top 10.
You would have top 10?
By that, what I mean is we had two very balanced England teams in the series and played each other in the final. And obviously you might think that's easy for me to say I was on the losing side. So, you know, you may feel, my opinion though, is I wouldn't have had any pleasure beating England in the final. The reason I want to play for my country is to represent my country against other countries and to win for England. I'm not out there to win for myself. It's the honour of going out there and putting your England shirt on and winning for England, not to be playing against your England colleagues in a final. I personally didn't enjoy that. But do I like the top 10 format? Yeah, I don't dislike that as a format of bowls. Absolutely. I think it brings a different edge to it. But I also like the 6 rinks, and they each have their place. Why does it need to be one or the other? That's my view. And I get it's money and all of that kind of stuff. But why can't we have more test events that are top 10 and stuff like that? If that's the route we want to go down, that doesn't mean we have to replace the British Isles series with it.
Well said.
We'll just leave that there then, Lorraine. Seeing you upset all these under 25s, you might as well upset the rest of the country so they can bombard you with messages and grief. Katherine, you just keep stum, don't say words. It's okay. We'll protect you. Don't worry. Thanks for that, Lorraine. we always do our World Championship preview. So, Mr. Parkinson, things all in place now.
Portable rink starts getting laid on the 2nd. So it's a tricky one for us this year because it's the earliest it can be in one of our years. But yeah, it's going to get laid on the 2nd and it starts on the 5th. Action-packed again, lots of good games.
I asked you two guys to do your homework, obviously, Katherine and Lorraine. Did you find the draw, Lorraine?
Yes, yeah, I'm all good. I found it.
Excellent. Looking at the draw, is there any tasty draws in the first round that you've spotted there? And have you got any favourites for the competition and outsiders for the competition?
I'd be interested to see how Harry Goodwin gets on. There's obviously lots of talent there, and it'd be interesting to see how he goes on. I mean, it's his first time, isn't it, on the portable? So obviously, be difficult for him to catch on to that. You don't get a lot of time, do you? I guess to sort of get your head around it. But he's definitely got a bright future, hasn't he? So it'd be interesting to see how he tackles that. I mean, I know you're probably itching for me to say that you're my rank outsider, Davey. And I feel a little bit guilty, not really, but
go on, Lorraine, go on.
Go on then. I give you as the outsider that might have a little run.
He's just got to learn that you can't play 2 yards down the backhand down.
Oh, hang on. If he's going to keep doing things like that, I'm taking him off my suggestion list. I changed my mind.
I've got an opening against the US. If able to get through that first game, I play Les, and I am literally charging a toll to get through my backside at the moment because it's that wide after he ripped his new one up in Scotland. So if I do manage to meet Les again, I think he's currently about 24-2 up against us. He's still going for me as an outsider?
No.
We'll come back to you in a minute. Katherine?
Quick look through the draw. I think I agree with Lorraine, seeing Harry on there. I'm looking forward to that, especially against Wayne. I think it's two very opposite styles of play. So I think that could be really interesting. And I just hope Harry gets there to have enough green time sort of to learn the characteristics of it. But yeah, that's a tasty one. And then I'm looking forward to Foster Sheriff, which I think is right at the bottom of the draw. I think he's potentially my outsider pick.
I think Jason will confirm this, but I do believe it's the first game on BBC as well. So that is going to be some game that's going to be going on the BBC. I mean, I think in Aaron's favour, he's used to going quick at everything. So he's probably unlikely to go chasing that 2-yard shot to try and play the perfect ball. But he's up against probably one of the best bowlers on that portable rink.
I think when you look at that, you think, Paul could play on there with his eyes shut and with his first 2 bowls, absolutely batter anybody and make them feel inferior. But I think where Aaron is so used to playing respots, he's used to playing sets, he's used to playing short formats with all the BPL stuff. I think in Australia, they're so adaptable. Those top players in Australia are so adaptable to going on. And I hadn't really experienced the difference in the surfaces in Australia until we went for the Worlds. And you turn up at one green in the morning, and it'd be like 11 seconds. And, that triples game, Lorraine, that we played at Helensvale, you felt like you were playing outdoors back home. And then by midday, it's a rolling at 21 sort of seconds, and the Scots can't hold it back. And I think that was why he was my pick, because he's just probably the most versatile and adaptable player I think I've ever seen. Jason,
any thoughts on yourself? I'm presuming Katherine's stolen your thunder with the Sheriff and Foster tie. That was definitely the pick of the first round, I would say.
Yeah, definitely is, yeah. It's always going to be an interesting one. You've got to favour, I know Aaron Sheriff's been there a couple of times, but you've got to favour Paul all day long on that carpet. It's like Katherine, when she's on there, there's still a handful of players that will play at a very, very high level, very consistently, like Katherine does, but not on that surface. That's the difference. It's going to take something special, I think, for someone to come along like Katherine that plays it consistently that well. I know everybody can turn up and have a bad game, or the temperature might just change, but that's the key to that. It's playing it consistently. Katherine plays a very different game. She's learned, she watches, she hasn't fallen into that trap, playing the shots she can't play. I chat with the PBA qualifiers all the time, like you do, David, and how many times do we sit back and think, what are they doing? We've explained this, you don't play it. I like Harry as well. Harry will have watched many, many games on that carpet, so it'd be interesting to see how the young un plays. He's got a great future ahead of him.
Oh, without a doubt. Well, I mean, we'll go to Mr. Mackay here, but obviously his tips have usually been, I'll take half the field and one of them will probably win.
Well, I got both finalists last year. I said a qualifier.
You did not get both. Don't turn around and say that you got Jamie Walker and Jason Banks, aka Mary Poppins' son. There is not a chance you turn around and said Yes, I got Jamie and Jason. You said I will take half of the field, and it'll not be a seed.
No. I said it'll be a qualifier. I think it'll be a qualifier. All right, it might be off the field, but two of them got there. Can't argue with that, can you?
No, you're right. I'll take it all back, Rich.
Take it all back. Well, I'm going to go for top of the shop, Mr. Jamie Walker. Sorry, Jamie.
He's not an actor. He won it last year.
Oh, we look for an outsider. Oh, God.
You tell him, Catherine. No, I think we did say you tipped for the tournament and an outsider as well.
Thanks.
I'll let you have Jamie.
Thanks. Well, seeing as my record of tipping, this will be a good one for me, mate. Yeah, a good outsider is the woman from America. There you go.
You absolute clown.
She's gonna get beat. You never want to get tipped off bloody Richie.
If ever. There you go.
Who needs enemies, eh?
I'll go for the young woman from America as an outside tip. This could be the end of a podcast.
Jason, did you actually call a winner or not?
I'm going to go Mark Dawes.
You're going Dawsey? That's a good shout for me. And to be honest with you,
he's moved clubs, hasn't he? He's moved to Cumbria, so is he playing a little bit more?
I hate to agree with you, mate. And to be honest with you, he was going to be my shout because he's playing up at Cumbria. He's playing Denny Cup with the guys up there, and yeah, he's maybe not going to be going into the World Championships as cold as what he maybe sometimes does. I know he's been playing down at Spalding. Yeah, I think he's got a big shout. Lorraine, did you actually pick a winner or not?
No, I'm going Anderson.
Yeah, I might have to agree with Lorraine. I think Anderson's form so good. Or to be honest, Foster getting past Sheriff in the first round. I think looking at the draw opening up in the bottom, I don't think you could write Paul off there either.
Because I'm in the bottom half.
Maybe easy pickings.
Totally. That's Jamie Walker, Mark Dawes, Stewie Anderson. Best of luck to everybody else in the competition because you've got a big chance now. Big chance. We'll put the mockers on. Richie, anything to add?
No, best of luck for Katherine in the ladies.
Oh, yes, sorry, I forgot about the ladies. Who's your tip for the ladies?
See how I pick him up there? What a shoddy outfit this is. She's playing in the singles and the mixed pairs. Oh, well, man, get a grip, man. Do I have to be
Who's your tip for the ladies singles, Katherine?
Julie.
You're having a laugh, aren't you? Yourself.
I think it's a really good field, to be honest. And I was pretty annoyed when I saw that Annie was my draw, to be honest.
You're playing Annie first round, are you?
Yeah, I am, yeah. I respect Annie a lot and I really, really rate her. And I think it will just be a case of the portable will hopefully be my friend in that one time on the rink and make sure I get enough. But the bottom half, for me personally, looks like Julie should be favourite to get through the bottom half. I would have thought, again, experience on the rink, and she's just quality, isn't she? So I'd like to meet her in the final. Well, I wouldn't actually because I don't like playing her, but yeah, we'll see.
Lorraine?
Yeah, I mean, you can't look past Katherine Rednall, can you? Really, you can't. You try. You look at all the other names, and then you sort of just go back to the one player. I know. It pains me to say it. I can tell you, it pains me. But no. For me, I can't see past Katherine.
Jason.
Well, yeah, I've said the reasons already, haven't I? Yeah, Katherine, just for the way. I mean, I think Julie's definitely the other lady that has got the ability to beat Katherine on any given day. Carrie Ann's back, isn't she? Is the finalist. She played on that carpet, that kind of carpet a few years ago when she was there the first time round, and obviously had a bit of a break. So Kerry knows how to play the game. But I think the top two for me would be Julie and Katherine, yeah.
Well, I'm going to go Redders. You, obviously, for me, are probably the favourite to win the competition. Sorry to put the pressure on. But I'm going to go, as a little outsider, I'm going to go for Nicole. I haven't got a year's experience on there as well. I think last year she probably was like a rabbit in the headlights on the rink, as we've talked about. I think maybe with that little bit of experience. But, no, best of luck, Katherine. Obviously, as always. Lorraine, great stuff. Congratulations for your gold medal again. Now that you've been on again, you might win something else. You never know.
I mean, miracles don't happen twice, do they?
I mean, it probably cancelled the Commonwealth Games, just worried about the fact that you may be selected. That's what it is. That's the fear factor you've brought to the world of balls now. Have a lovely Christmas, everybody. Thanks, Jason. Thanks for your time. Lorraine, fantastic. Katherine, well, yeah, thanks.
Thank you. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Thanks again for coming on. Have a lovely Christmas.
Pleasure.
See you later. Thank you.
Look
Have a
forward
nice
to catching up
Christmas.
with you.
Bye.
Bye.
See you later.
Right, mate, there we go. Boxing Day show over, and smashing little chat with Katherine, Lorraine, Jason. Always good. It's value for money, even though we didn't pay them out. So, what are you looking forward to for 2024, mate?
2024. Do you know for me personally now, which I just pick and choose now, playing, and I like my national competitions. I like to still compete, but I think the days old playing 5-6 times a week is long gone for me now. So I just love to catch up with the lads and lasses whenever I'm playing, and competition wise, I've managed to get down to Dolphin for the Champion of Champions.
You see, this time for Southampton, it's only 5 miles along the road. You know, Bournemouth, 50 miles along the road.
Excellent. Can't wait. That's it, really, mate. As far as that's concerned, everything's good. I'm quite happy in life. And
very good, mate. Well, I'm sure we'll get plenty more streaming out there. We'll, you never know, might get the chance of streaming the home internationals, England-Scotland game. You never know. Get a bit of atmosphere. Yeah, well, hopefully the PB will stick with us for the qualifiers 2024. But as always, everybody, many thanks for your support over the last 12 months. We hope we've brought a little bit of a smile to you. We hope to bring a smile over the next 12 months, and hope we have a good new year, and we'll see you in 2024. Thank you.
Happy Christmas, everyone.
Bye, humbug.
Thank you for listening, and hope you've enjoyed the show.
This has been a Dodgy production.